Hey y'all, it's Savannah and this is Savannah Says. This is part 2 of the series that I've started but have not completed in 2022 series video thing that I'm doing right now. It's only gonna be 2 parts, so I guess it's not really a series, but the first part was physical books and this part is going to be Kindle books. So again, if you haven't watched the first part, I'll link it above, but this is just basically to like have a running list of things that I have started and have not finished as of this year, because you know I love a good deal and I tend to buy things when they're on sale even if I haven't read the rest of the book. So I just kind of want to like keep track of what I've started, and this does not include books that I have that like are part of a series that I haven't started yet. That's like a whole other thing. These are strictly just books that like I've started. So let's begin. First up, we have Ink and Bone by Rachel Caine. I'm currently reading this book. This is a series. I plan on like talking about this more because I actually am enjoying this book. It is about a kid named Jess, and it's like a dystopian fantasy sort of, and it's like books are banned. You're not allowed to have books. The books are all controlled by this like entity called the library, and you know Jess is a book smuggler and he ends up gaining a position as like an apprentice with the library in order to further his family's smuggling business. And it's kind of hard to explain because it's not like something that I finished, but I will say, which I will probably say again in another video when I like formulate the idea, but if you did not like the Atlas 6, you might like this book. I didn't like the Atlas 6, obviously. If you've seen that video, you know I didn't really like it, but this book is to me what Atlas 6 thought it was trying to do. So keep that in mind. We have The Children of Fallen Gods, which is the second book in the Fallen series. I don't remember the name of the series, but I'll just put it on the screen. This is the second book in the series. I'm about 50% of the way through. This series is about a girl named Tisana, and she's got powers and she's trying to reclaim, like, well, in the first book, she was trying to free the slaves from her home because she was a slave, and now she's got these powers and she's come into a position of power to free them. But as of the second book, they've been freed, so I don't really know what the plot is anymore. This is a very detailed fantasy romance, and by that I mean it's got a lot of world building, and it's so far been hard for me to keep track of what's going on, but like the romance part of it's good enough that I'm willing to suffer through the confusing bits. So, you know, that's not doing a good job of like selling it, but it was a solid 3-star for the first book. So the second one I can't imagine being worse, but I'll let y'all know when I finish it. We have the Experiment in Terror series by Karina Halley. I figured out her name is pronounced Karina Halley. The first book is called Dark House. And so this is a paranormal slash horror slash romance series about this girl named Perry and the love interest who I guess becomes her boyfriend. His name is Dex. And they just, I guess, monster hunt, ghost hunt. I'm not exactly sure how the rest of the plot builds because I've only read book 1, but book 1 was a haunted lighthouse ghost story and I thought it was pretty solid, so I'm assuming the rest of the books get better. I think there's one more book coming out this year, so I think the total is either 12 or 13. Like currently there's like 11 of them out, and I have the first 5 because again, like I said, I buy shit when it's on sale. Yeah, I think this series will turn out to be good though, so if you're looking for like horror but like you like romance like I do, this is a good book for you to start with. Next I have Divergent by Veronica Roth. Now I had a plan for this, and the plan was not just to read Divergent for fun, but it technically falls under things that I've started and haven't finished as of this year. And I was reading Divergent when the movies were coming out, which was like, what, 2014? This is a YA dystopian book about a girl named Triss, and she lives in this, it's basically like Chicago, but not Chicago. And like the entire city is split into these things called factions. And when you turn, I think 16, you take like a test and you have to determine which faction you're going to be in. And that's like the rest of your life. And so Triss is a Divergent, which means that she technically can be, she's like fluid in the sense that she does not belong to one faction. She sort of like breaks the algorithm. So yeah, I only ever read the first 2 books, which is Divergent and Insurgent. I never read Allegiance, and I never even read all of Insurgent, but I've seen the movie so many times. I feel like there has to come a point where I just read the book, and they were on sale recently, so I bought them. I will let you know how that goes. Perfect Chemistry by Simone Elcalez. Now this is a foundational book, okay? If you like romance, I feel like if you started reading romance when you were like in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you probably have read this book. That's when I read it. I think I was in like 8th grade. This is a book, subsequently it is a series about like these, I think there's 4 brothers, and the first brother's name is Alex, I think. And he's like a troubled teen or whatever. He's like in a gang, and he like meets this girl named Brittany, and they fall in love. And then every book is about his brother, like a brother finding love. And I remember liking these, which means that as an adult I probably will think they're corny, but like it's a quick read. I remember it being cute, so like for the sake of that, I just want to reread it and like finish the series and say that I've read it all and be done. Next I have War by Lara Talassa, which is the second book in the 4 Horsemen series. I will link my review of Pestilence above. I wasn't really fucking with that book. I thought it was pretty dumb. I mean, like, it was intriguing enough conceptually, premise-wise, that I was like interested to keep reading, but like at the same time, the premise of hooking up with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse is just not sexy to me. I don't want to read the rest of them, but I kind of want to, just for like the laughs, just to see if they're any good or worse. I don't know why I want to read it. It's on Kindle Unlimited and I have it downloaded, and I haven't finished the series, so technically like it counts for this, but we'll see. Next I have Dark Harmony, which is also by Lara Talassa, which is the 3rd book in the Bargainer series. Look, I've been trying to read this series all year. I think I started in May and I've only got through book 2. These books are I don't know if it's YA. I think it's like an adult romance, fantasy romance about this girl who's in love with like this Fae King, and she's a siren in a world where people are otherwise human, so she's supernatural, and her mate's name is Des. Callie is her name. The mate's name is Des. He's like the king of the Night Kingdom or some shit. And this series is it's pretty mid. I personally don't think that Lara Talassa is a good writer, but you know, I've read these books and now I feel like I have to finish. I bought them all. Again, they were cheap, but I bought them all, so I feel like I owe it to myself to at least finish so I can give like a comprehensive review of the series in case you were interested in it. But for the most part, it's just pretty like, I've read better fantasy romance, but if you're into Fae, this has probably crossed your radar at some point. Next I have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and I know that in my previous video, like one of my previous videos, and like the, what was it called, 10 books I'll never read or something, I literally said I will never read this book, and I've already read half of it, so I feel like I should just finish I don't know, this is one of those ones that's like on the line of should I finish, should I not. I've only got the first book, I've not read all of it. It's like a YA paranormal, right? About this girl who's, I don't even know if she has magic, but her name is Blue. She can like sense ghosts. Her mom is like a fortune teller or a seer or something. And they live in this this town that's got like magic in the fabric of the town. Like, I really don't know how to explain it. Clearly it does not make sense to me, but people love this book on the internet, so it must be good, I guess. It's very much a vibe book, a magical vibe. If you were into vibes, you might like this. I'm not sure. Next, I have Malice by Heather Walter. Now, I've started this book, I have not finished it, and now when I started it, I thought it was just one book, and now apparently it's a series, so there we go, it's a series. This is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. It's like a sapphic Sleeping Beauty retelling, and I'm pretty sure Sleeping Beauty falls in love with Maleficent, but her name is not Maleficent in the book. I'm not exactly sure. That is what this is. It's a romance, so obviously based on that alone, I'm gonna read it. Next, I have the Battalion Mafia series by Sienna Minks. I bought the first 2 books in the series. I can say for a fact I will not be reading the rest of them. These books were not good. They were bad. 1 star. Main character was annoying. It is a mafia series, an interracial mafia romance series. So if you're into mafia romance, you might like this. I've read better mafia romances, and that is why I just won't be reading these ones anymore. That's it. Next, we have Psycho, which is the second book in the Necessary Evil series by Onley James. And this is a male psychopath romance series. Okay, I know that sounds crazy, but it's about these I think there are 7 brothers, and they were all adopted as children by this doctor who has trained them in their psychopathy to be serial killers, but they only kill bad guys or people who do bad things. So the first book was about the hot brother, his name, they're all hot, right? But the one brother's like a model, and he falls in love with the son of this child predator. Yeah, child predator. He falls in love with the son of a child predator that he killed in his youth. So that's a whole thing. The second book, which is the one that I'm on, called Psycho, is about this professor. He's one of the brothers. He's a professor of, I don't know what he's a professor of anymore, but he falls in love with this guy who used to work in the FBI, and the guy he's in love with is a clairvoyant. I'm only like halfway through this, so I'm not exactly sure where it's gonna go, but like, again, it's romance and it sounds like it's gonna be a crazy train kind of book, and that's up my alley. Next, we have the Green Creek series by TJ Klune, the first book being Wolf Song. I have all 4 of these books. It's a 4-book series. This is a male werewolf romance series, and the first book, Wolf Song, was actually pretty good. I gave it 3 stars, mostly because the reading experience for me was just like very strange. I do want to read all of these though and just give like a review of the whole series because I thought they were good. This is a companion series, so every book is about a new couple, but like, again, it's romance and it's werewolf, so like I don't really see how it's going to be bad. So next we have the Hades and Persephone series by Scarlett St. Clair. The book that I'm on is called A Touch of Malice, which is the 3rd book in the series, and honestly, I don't know that I'm gonna finish this series. I read the first 2, and Persephone to me was just so annoying that like it put me off of the series. Like, I don't know that I can read them anymore, but I feel like I've got to book 3, and so I owe it to myself to like at least read the 3rd book just so I can like talk about it and like post a video about it and like give a review of the whole series. I don't know. If you've read it and you liked it, let me know. Book 2 to me was just really bad, and I have not been able to get over it to this day. I read this book months ago, like at the beginning of this year, and it's still in my mind about how bad it was. So if you've read A Touch of Malice, let me know. Next is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Now this is a well-beloved series on YouTube, and I guess the book community at large. I've only read this first one, which is The Diviners. I know it's a 4-part series, and it's like a historical fantasy, but it's like also paranormal and kind of scary. And I remember the first book being really good, so I don't know why I never continued. Like, I gave the first book 5 stars when I read it, which was like in 2019, I think. So I definitely will read the rest of these. The problem with this series, personally to me, is that the covers are just fucking ugly. So I want to have the actual books, but they're so ugly to look at that it's almost like not worth spending the money. But yeah, this book was good for all intents and purposes. I don't know, I don't really have a reason why I didn't finish it, just my brain just picked something else to move on with. So definitely plan on reading this. These Violin Delights by Chloe Gong. When I was reading this book, it was just one book, and now it's like a duology, and I've heard that the second book is not good, so I don't really know that I even feel compelled to like finish reading this one and read the next one. But I got like halfway through this one, and it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. So it's a fantasy romance, obviously, but it's set in 1920s Shanghai, so it's already doing something a little different. From what I remember reading, I liked it. I just got bored and stopped reading, and now I don't remember any of it, and this was like a year ago. So I have to reread it because, again, I only got halfway through, but I don't know if it's worth continuing to like the next one, if that makes sense. Next is The Thief, which is a part of a series called The Queen's Thief, I think, by Megan Walton Turner. And this book is, I don't know what the genre of this book is. It's definitely a fantasy, but it might be historical fantasy. This is a book about a kid who can steal anything. And in the first book, he is enlisted to steal like this artifact from like a place where no one has been able to steal it before, and that's all I can remember. But I remember this book being good, and now there's like 5 of them, and from what I understand, they do get better. And I'm sorry, that's a terrible description, but like, I don't know the plot anymore, but I remember liking it, and I remember it being good. And that's all I have on my Kindle for books that I have started and have not completed the series for. Again, I hope to complete them at some point, if not this year, next year, just so I can like have a fresh slate. I don't think it's that many series on this list total, you know. I might put them in a jar, pick one, finish it, move on with my life. Only time will tell. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, if you have any books that are like these books that you also enjoyed, that I might enjoy. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye!